Mobile Suit Gundam SEED Freedom, the movie version of Mobile Suit Gundam SEED, recently released its third PV and the machines that will appear in the movie. The lead machines, the Rising Freedom and Immortal Justice, as well as the Ganstrom, Gelgoog Menace, Impulse Spec 2, and Black Knight Squad, have been released. However, no information about all of the pilots for all of the machines has been revealed by the officials. Therefore, there is a lot of speculation on the internet as to which machine the pilots will be flying. Various speculations are flying around on the internet. Furthermore, the identity of the enemy is also unknown. However, looking at what has been sent out by each of the parties involved in the past and at each of the PVs, who is the true identity of the girl? Why do the Black Knight Squad have the same face? Who are the pilots of the main machines? And so on, the stories are connected. In this issue, I would like to discuss them. First, the identity of the Foundation. First of all, the movie version is set in Cosmic Era 75, about 1 year after the last battle of Seed Destiny, the Messiah Offensive, which took place in May of Cosmic Era 74. Although the names of the organizations have not yet been officially announced, the appearance of the names of Zaft, Compass, and Foundation suggests that the conflict between these three organizations will be depicted in the work. I have already discussed the details in a previous video, so if you have not seen it yet, I would be happy if you would watch it as well. In this context, assuming that Kira and Lux are the Compass unit, the organization headed by Aura Macha Hybel is supposed to be Foundation, but it is unclear what this organization is doing. However, although Logos, which was said to be the root of war in the world of Seed Destiny, has been destroyed, there are signs of conflicts occurring in various places, and furthermore, since we can see people other than Shin bowing to the Foundation, we can assume that it is some key entity in this world. Looking at the third PV, the Black Knight Squads are flying away, and in the background we see Din, a Zaft mobile suit. The fact that the Black Knight Squads appear to be ridden by members of the Foundation indicates that this organization is also in a position to receive support from Zaft. For example, in Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam, there was a support organization for Yugo on the ground called Karaba, but they were an organization on Earth that objected to the Titans' methods. The Foundation in this work, like Karaba, may be an organization that was originally dissatisfied with the OMNI on Earth, and given the fact that it operates the Din and wears a helmet similar to that of Kira's Compass unit, it is possible that after the conclusion of the Messiah Offensive, the Foundation is cooperating with Zaft and Compass to fight against the remnants of the OMNI forces. It is also possible that they are fighting against the remnants of the Earth Allied forces. However, the way Lux and his group are bowing suggests that they were supposed to be cooperating with Zaft and confronting the conflict, but they may have gone too far, and Lux and his group may have come to ask them to change their ways. Incidentally, if we interpret it that way, Shin is the person who is least convinced by the Foundation's excessive way of doing things, since Athrun has drilled into him the weight of responsibility for having strong power to the very end, which leads to the reason why only one person is not bowing. Aura, the supposed top of the Foundation, looks like a little girl, and even the voice actress, Yukari Tamura, said that she was surprised when she first saw her. However, given the fact that director Fukuda has stated in X that Aura looks like a child, no, it's nothing. It is thought that Aura is an adult clone inside. So, who exactly is inside Aura? In the second PV, it was narrated by Shuichi Ikeda's Chancellor Durandal voice, so it seems possible to think that Aura is a clone of Chancellor Durandal, although the gender is different. Incidentally, Gilbert Durandal was originally a geneticist at Colony Mendel and fell in love with Talia Gladys, but because of their genetic relationship, they were unable to have children, and because of Plant's marriage system, couples who cannot have children cannot get married. This is the reason why they were not able to get married. In Seed Destiny, this is the reason why Chancellor Durandal came up with the Destiny Plan and the idea of let your genes determine your life. But what if, when he and Talia parted ways, he had devoted himself to the creation of clones with superior genes? Chancellor Durandal is 32 years old in Destiny. I do not know how old he was when he was a scholar, but if he was 20 years old when he was dating Talia, it was 12 years ago. At this time, Aura would be 14 years old if she had been cloned based on her own genes. She looks much younger than that, but if he was in her 20s when he was a scholar and had genetically engineered a female version of the clone, it would seem to be a good time frame. Also, when he encountered Kira in the final episode of Seed Destiny, he remarked, "Arrogance, you are the best coordinator of the quintessence." Considering that Chancellor Durandal was a Colony Mindel scholar, it seems not surprising that he not only knows the secret of Kira's birth, but also has access to Kira's genes. In addition to this story, in the September 2021 issue of Gundam Ace, it is revealed that there was initially talk of pitting 20 Kira against one Kira. If this story had come true, it is possible that the Foundation is a unit of people who have Kira's genes incorporated into them, and that Aura and his close associate, Orf Lam Tao, have genes from both Durandal, Kira's genes, and others. In the first PV, the word natural is written next to Foundation, so it seems unlikely that Aura and his group are coordinators, but there is a precedent that Raul Cruzit, who was in the plant camp, was actually a natural. Furthermore, Chancellor Durandal, although a coordinator, is considered to be a man who has the support of both the natural and the coordinator. Therefore, although the Foundation is described as a natural camp, the top group may actually be composed of coordinators. Incidentally, if all of the Foundation's fighters really have Kira's genes, the fact that the Black Knight scored, the machine in which they are flying, has a face mask that does not show the contents of the mask may be considered to mean that they are the shadow of Kira. It must be my imagination that it feels more and more like Mistburn. Second, who will ride on which machine? The other day, the machines that will appear in the series were announced, but there are a few things that we believe have not yet been revealed. First, Director Fukuda said in X, the mobile suits have been announced. This time, it is a machine that has been officially adopted. The phrase "this time it is an officially adopted machine" suggests that there may be a machine that has not yet been announced, but in the first place, it is not at all clear who will be riding on which machine. The first machine that has been released this time is the Rising Freedom. At the beginning of the third PV, Kira is shown going into battle, and he says, "Kira Yamato, let's go, but not Freedom, I'm coming." Director Fukuda also said in X, "We haven't announced who will be flying which machine at all yet. Even Kira only says, 'I'm going.' But if someone said that Kira wasn't going to ride the Freedom, it would be a riot." However, there is one curious thing about this scene. The color of the helmet indicates that this is Kira, and her eyes are gradually turning red. Is Kira in a hurry because her eyes turned red in the second PV? Is he going to fall into darkness? Or will he kill someone? However, in a new interview with the people involved in the movie, it was stated that Kira's true inner self will be revealed and that Kira is not originally a non-killer. He just tries not to kill as much as possible, so the image of non-killerism has been spread. I personally think that this scene was a visual representation of Kira's impatience, but the reason why his eyes turn red is unclear at this point, so I'll leave it at that for the moment. As for the main issue, right after this scene, the Rising Freedom appears in Kira's eyes. This means that this is the scene where Kira is looking at the Rising Freedom. Isn't this a scene where he is looking at the machine in the hangar? Some people think that it is just a staged scene. I personally find it strange that the machine is colored because the phase shift armor is turned on, and that the railgun is already deployed. If Kira is the pilot of the Rising Freedom, there is no way that Kira can see the machine. And after this, the battle scene of the Rising Freedom is shown. Taking into account the director's story, we can assume that Kira pilots the battle scene at the beginning of the movie and the battle scene in the latter half, while someone else pilots the scene where the railgun is fired. In the latter half of the scene, the 105 dagger's arms and head are destroyed, followed by the destruction of its legs, which seems to be Kira's trick, since it seems to be trying not to kill the enemy, but only the scene where the Rising Freedom in Kira's eyes is shooting out railguns could be temporarily controlled by Shin or someone else. There is some mystery about the other machines as well. The Impulse, being a Spec 2, is supposed to be improved in some way, but from the description of the real grade version of the Gunpla, it is hard to tell any difference from the previous model, except for a slightly muted hue. However, while all of the new machines released to the public have a logo on the left shoulder that appears to be that of the Compass unit, the Impulse is the only machine that does not have a logo. Therefore, it is possible that the Impulse is not a Compass core machine. Based on the pilot and machine designs that have been made public, Kira is on the Rising Freedom, Athrun is on the Immortal Justice, Luna Maria is on the Gelgoog Menace, and 2 Giantstroms are shown in the PV, making Impulse and Giantstrom 3 machines. Shin, Agnes, and Mu are expected to ride on the 3 machines. It is difficult to imagine that Mu, originally from Orb, will ride Zaft's Impulse, so it is thought that Mu will ride the Giantstrom and Shin or Agnes will ride the Impulse. However, in a scene that looks like an atmospheric escape, Kira, Shin, Luna Maria, and Agnes are shown, and in a scene that seems to be after the escape from the atmosphere, Rising Freedom, Immortal Justice, Giantstrom, and Gelgoog Menace are shown, so Athrun is not there. Since Aslan is not there, we can assume that Kira is in the Rising Freedom, Shin in the Immortal Justice, Luna Maria in the Gelgoog Menace, and Agnes in the Giantstrom for the simple reason that the colors of their machines and pilot suits are similar. In addition, the second PV shows these 4 in the hangar, where the Immortal Justice's rifle is shown. Although Athrun appears to be engaged in espionage in the PV, he is depicted in the first PV as going to Foundation with Lux and others, and a pilot suit with the Compass unit's crest is also shown, so we can assume that he will eventually ride the Justice. It is possible that Shin may temporarily pilot the Rising Freedom or Immortal Justice, just as Lux temporarily boarded the Infinite Justice for transportation. In any case, if Agnes is going to fly the Giantstrom, Shin is likely to be the Impulse and Mu is likely to be the other Giantstrom. However, since Shin and Athrun have a quarrel in the later episode of Seed Destiny, I personally do not think that Shin will transport Athrun's machine, and since Athrun is a popular character who has many problems with women, Agnes will transport the Immortal Justice, and after that, Agnes boarded the Impulse. Or, Shin may be on board the Giantstrom from the beginning. Third, new machines yet to be seen. I personally feel that the Rising Freedom and Immortal Justice are the frontrunners, similar to Legacy, and that there are more final machines in the pipeline, but how many machines are there that have not yet been revealed? I would like to look at the possible machines. First of all, Izak and Durka's machine. They were both on board the Goof Ignited and Zaku Phantom in the final battle of the previous work. Zaft's pilot suits have not changed since Destiny, but since neither Zaku nor Goof appeared in the PV in the first place in this work, it may be possible that they will be flying different machines. Next is Akatsuki. Akatsuki is an orb machine, so it may have been returned to Kigali. Even if Compass is operating a machine developed with Zaft or orb technology, it is unlikely that Akatsuki, the symbol of orb, will appear at the beginning of the story, since its appearance at the front line should draw criticism for the orb philosophy of not invading other countries. However, if Mu were to fly the Giantstrom, there would be no pilot who could fly the Akatsuki, so I wonder what position he would take. Next are the 3 Down Troopers. The pattern on their pilot suits has changed from the horned helmets that resemble a black triple star to a 2-eyed pattern reminiscent of the Mad Angler team. It is not at all clear whether there will be a Dom in this work, but it is possible that there will be a Seed version of Zgok, Agai, Gog, Grublo, etc. in homage to the Mad Angler team, or a new machine that is not a mono-eye machine because of the 2-eye pattern. Putting it all together like this, I think we will probably see the final forms of the Freedom and Justice, Izak and Durka machines, and the 3 Doms, with an additional Akatsuki. It is hard to imagine that Shin will end up riding the Gan, Impulse, or Rising Freedom, so I would expect to see a newer version of the Destiny as well. However, I doubt if there will be enough time for that, so they might cut out some of them. So, that's all for now, a discussion of the mysteries that we can learn from the PV and the settings. I am sure you are all wondering who will be riding which machine. I would be very happy to hear your opinions in the comments. That is all for this time. I will leave it up to you whether you subscribe to the channel or not, and I would be happy if you could watch one more video if you like. Thank you for watching to the end.